Director of Digital News Media at FCA International Signal Magazine. I'd like to welcome you to our executive interview series. Today, I'm sitting down with Dimitrios Parolis, Senior Vice President for Partnerships and Online at Purdue University. Dimitri is also the Riley Professor of Electrical and Computer Engineering at Purdue. Previously, Dimitri led Purdue's Elmore School of Electrical and Computer Engineering and served as the special advisor to the engineering dean for online programs. For those who aren't familiar with Purdue University in Indiana, it is one of the country's leading educational institutions for defense-related research and teaching. I'm from Western Pennsylvania, and I saw a lot of kids go there for their undergraduate degrees at Purdue over the years, especially those interested in engineering, given its great reputation. What I think many people don't know is that Purdue has a variety of partnerships with the U.S. military, the Department of Defense, and other defense-related agencies, as well as programs for the defense industrial base. They've taken their fantastic engineering education and put it into flexible offerings. And Dimitri will walk us through all this, but he currently leads the development of Purdue's high-quality online programs, and many of them are ranked amongst the best in the nation. These online programs are meant to be accessible to working professionals anytime, anywhere, and this is especially true for active duty personnel on deployment. Purdue, it runs the gamut. Purdue offers graduate degrees, certificate programs, along with credit and non-credit professional development programs, and just-in-time learning macro credentials. And these are all tailored for military and civilian personnel. There's a lot of flexibility there. Some examples are their master's degree concentration in strategy and defense engineering, and their graduate certificate program in strategic defense technologies, and these are both available as online programs. In addition, Purdue has online programs that are of high interest to defense-related learners in the vital fields such as AI, cybersecurity, data science, hypersonics, microelectronics, and semiconductors, just to name a few. In AI, there's a new online master's program that is designed both for people who build AI systems and for those that use them. Purdue's comprehensive semiconductor and microelectronics program is a national leader in the field, both in research and development, including workforce development. I know from my reporting about the U.S. Air Force how Purdue has supported innovation in the urban air mobility sector, the eVTOL sector that is developing. And for the Navy, the university supports and has for a long time the Naval Surface Warfare Center at Crane, Indiana, that does some very important work in electromagnetic warfare, expeditionary solutions, and strategic missions. Purdue has also partnered with the U.S. Naval Test Pilot School to offer a joint graduate degree program for Navy personnel. And we'll put up some corresponding links, and I encourage you all to check out all of what Purdue is offering in online learning for the defense sector. And Dimitri, let's turn to you. How did you come to be in this position, and what do you find exciting about it?
Yes, thank you so much, Kim. Yeah, it was interesting. I started by basically teaching online courses, primarily for Purdue undergraduate and graduate students in the very beginning. Afterwards, I had an opportunity to lead the engineering online programs for more than 5 years. It was, I think, a really interesting time because we set a new strategy for Purdue to focus on STEM, on engineering programs for working professionals, for military folks, for the type of learner, I would say, that could not easily come to the Purdue campus and enjoy the world-class education that Purdue offers. And then about 1.5 years ago, I started in this position with the idea to create a strategy for the Purdue University system in this area.
Richard, how do you think, compared to your first experience with online education, how does that compare to online programs that Purdue makes available today? How has it all evolved?
Yeah, I think that's really interesting because online learning and online education has changed dramatically over the last several years. I know you also mentioned what is really exciting about that. And what I really find exciting right now is that we can really reach a lot of learners through high quality online learning in ways that we could not do that in the past. As an example, we now have the ability to personalize the learning experience of an individual through the online modality. And in fact, it's a lot easier to do that online than it is in a traditional classroom setting. We have the ability to help people focus on what they really need to learn. We can estimate, or we can help them understand what they have to focus on versus spending time on other areas that perhaps they have already mastered. We have technologies now to help, for example, with virtual or hybrid labs that didn't exist in the past. So all of these have really created an environment that online learners can benefit tremendously from this modality. And in fact, we recognize this at Purdue to the point that the online certificates and degrees that we offer are identical to the on-campus degrees and certificates that we offer. From the point of view that they are taught by the same faculty, the students earn the same degree, they go through the same assessments, they experience the same projects or homeworks, and they earn the same identical degree as they would have done as if they were on campus. And so that is an amazing, I think, opportunity we have to reach learners that could not or would not come to our campus and allow them to experience the same Purdue education as our own campus learners.
Right, sure. And I think sometimes education, or kind of anything that somebody does, is kind of what you put in is kind of what you get out. But what kind of advice do you have, or how do you think individuals and organizations can set themselves up for a good return on their educational investments, especially when it's investing in online learning?
Yeah, I would say for organizations, the very first thing that is important to recognize is that continuing education has changed. In the past, we used to see learners come back maybe for upskilling or reskilling several years after they had earned their their bachelor's degree, let's say, perhaps maybe even 10 or 20 years. Now we see that need emerging a lot more quickly. Let me give you an example. Let's say we have a learner who graduated just 5 years ago. It's very likely that this person never took a single class in AI. And yet today they find themselves either working in this area or even leading groups in this area. I think within an organization, it's very critical for that person to know how to lead the group, where to focus on, and essentially upskill themselves. And this is just one example. There are many, many areas where this is true. I think from a learner's perspective, it is important that we take an honest look and look at how much time we have and how much energy we have. Perhaps for some learners, getting a fully online master's or even a doctorate degree is really the right choice. And these are still great options for many of our learners. We see thousands of people who do this right now at Purdue. But for many other learners, perhaps starting from a flexible, stackable credential, I would say a micro degree, sometimes we call them digital badges, can really be the right step. Those tend to be short-term commitments, but they're skill-based learning. They're customizable, and you may only spend, let's say, a few weeks or maybe a few months, depending on what you're trying to do. And you can immediately signal to the world that you have a new skill set, and you can immediately see progress in your career. So I would say both micro credentials as well as full degrees are great options. Learners maybe can think about that. They can actually talk to an academic advisor or to a success coach and see what is the right option for them.
Right, sure. And why was it important for Purdue to radically expand its online presence?
Yes, I think it's really important, as I mentioned before, to recognize that online education has changed over the last several years. It was really important for us to make this strategic investment to reach learners that don't have the options a lot of times because of family reasons or because of work reasons to come to our campus. And in my opinion, having a university like Purdue with a world-class reputation be a viable option in the online learning arena is really, really critical. It's important for us to be able to serve not just the students who can come to our campus, but actually the world. So we made this investment to really deliver what we call excellence at scale. And we're used to excellence in both on-campus and online education. We're used to scale. And so putting the two together, I think is a very powerful proposition.
Right, and in your position, you're forging partnerships with military and defense-related organizations, and to structure programs tailored so you can tailor them to military personnel and other defense-related learners. Can you talk about this and kind of why is this important to forge these partnerships?
Yes, let me start by a couple of very quick personal stories. Whenever I'm teaching online, in fact, I'll be teaching online in just about 6 weeks from now. I always find military learners in my class, and I'm always amazed and encouraged really by the dedication that they show to upskill or reskill themselves. Just last year, I had a Navy officer who was in a submarine, and at the beginning of the semester, he sent me a note saying, "Professor, I'm going to be literally underwater for several weeks during your class, so help me learn." And I was trying to really imagine how this person, with all their duties and all their responsibilities, submerged somewhere to protect our security and our safety, how can I actually best serve them? And I always kept them in mind to really understand, and this was truly, truly inspiring to me, deliver the highest quality education I could. Then I had this amazing emerging experience. I was on the USS Nimitz last year for a couple of days, and had the ability to really connect with the enlisted folks and the officers and understand how they live, how they lead, all the sacrifices they're really making for us. And I would say I came back so energized to really try to do everything possible we can to help them. So when I think about military partnerships, I think about those folks who are serving us, and the least we can do is find out ways to give them the skills they need to either contribute while they're still in the military from perhaps different positions, and after having gained new skills, or even after they leave the military, they have the right skills and the right knowledge to thrive in the world out there. Whenever we are thinking of these partnerships, we always try to recognize the high quality training that the Department of Defense already gives, and see how we can actually couple that with the offerings that we have at Purdue. And an example is the U.S. Navy test pilot partnership that you mentioned before. We looked very carefully in the rigorous and demanding curriculum that the Navy has, and then we compare that, and we try to couple that with the curriculum that we offer in the master's degree here at Purdue. And I think we came up with this amazing joint offering, very unique. I believe we're the only ones who are doing this. Very unique offering where somebody can actually learn from both institutions at the same time. And on graduation night, they actually have 2 degrees. So they have the degree from the Navy test pilot and a Purdue master's degree. It wasn't easy. We had to overcome a lot of obstacles, a lot of, I would say, traditional thinking from both sides. And for that, I'm so thankful to my colleagues from the Navy Test Pilot School. But really, I think all of us were truly energized by this desire to give the people who serve us right now the best we can.
Right, I love your example of having the class with a submariner in it. Why is online especially valuable for the military and defense related learners? What's special about an online kind of environment or a platform that can reach them?
Yeah, I think, first of all, it's an extremely flexible learning environment. As I mentioned before, it really allows people, no matter where they are, no matter what time of the day, they can dedicate to their learning to actually do this. Um, the other thing besides flexibility is, I would say, it also provides a lot of different options. A lot of times, some folks may be, how can I say, intimidated by thinking that, they have to commit 1 or 2 years of their lives towards a master's degree. It might be a lot easier if they say, well, I think I can do 1 month, right? I think I can do a few weeks. Test the waters, understand what they're really committing themselves, kind of gain the confidence they need to succeed. And I think the stackable programs I mentioned before are a great way to get started, because you can complete one of those, let's say, for example, a micro credential in AI or data science, and immediately gain skills that are recognizable by everyone. But also you might say, well, I think that was great. How about I just continue this towards perhaps a different credential or even a full-time degree? And the third thing I want to mention is that uh, the technology nowadays allows us to deliver incredibly high quality education online that may not have been available, let's say, a decade or two ago. I think a lot of people are, maybe they ask their parents or grandparents about online education, they might get a very different viewpoint on what it actually is. Through an online education today, we allow folks to get connected. We create online learning communities. It's not an isolated experience that some people may be afraid of, whether this can be synchronous connection or asynchronous connection. People through online, they can reach not just their classmates, but they can reach their instructors, or they can reach a teaching assistant. And so there is a whole support system there. We have, as I mentioned before, success coaches. These are people that go well beyond the traditional academic advising, and oftentimes they will go and discuss, time management skills, or how do you develop a commitment towards getting something completed. We really understand that we're talking about here professionals that have a lot of things to balance, a lot of things to juggle. Military career, maybe family, maybe something else. And we get that. And that's one of the great things about distance learning or online learning, is that it does allow you to see the return on investment, the ROI, even if you're able to dedicate just a few minutes per day. We know that people's attention span is limited. We know they are obligated to look at lots of different things. But even if you can invest just a few minutes, you can make a real difference over time. That's a very, very unique experience. And along with personalized learning, it develops a very, very powerful proposition.
Right, I love that modern day online learning. And then I wanted to ask you, beyond serving kind of, individual learners, can you talk about how you're partnering with various organizations for workforce development? You're partnering with military defense related organizations and also companies, and developing online programs to enhance their workforces. And I don't know if this is, examples such as, semiconductors, for the CHIP Act. But can you talk about that, and then kind of what are the advantages that Purdue is bringing to the table in such partnerships?
Absolutely. Purdue really developed a strategic mission to help in this area, and specifically to create this type of partnerships. The semiconductors is a good example. Purdue is a national leader in this field, where we now create partnerships that result into online or hybrid training, essentially with organizations who need to think about upskilling or reskilling their workforce in that field. When we think about this type of partnerships, we try to think, first of all, what the real needs are. I'll give you an example. We had a major partner a few years ago who basically told us that, look, I am hiring a lot of folks who really know how to design this type of device, and I will not name it right now. but they have no idea of how they handle data. And these devices tend to output um, thousands of different data points, and we don't know how to do that. Very highly skilled folks, but they were lacking in just one particular aspect. So first thing we try to do is understand what the real needs are. And then we typically do use this as a driving force to either change some of our offerings to meet these needs or create customized offerings for different organizations. In the US Navy Test Pilot School, for example, we had to use both approaches. Sometimes we had to rethink of what we're teaching and modify this to better fit the need. Other times we had to do a more customized curriculum. And so that is the first thing I would say. The second thing is we also try to really look into the future. It's very critical for us, of course, to understand what people need now and create credentials or degrees that have a real value in the market today. But at the same time, we think of the future, what is going to be needed 5 or 10 years from now, or even longer term. And we have these conversations with our partner, and we try to see how they see the future. I think they try to see how we see the future, and create credentials that will have a lasting value for many of their employees.
And then for anyone, say in cybersecurity, workforce development, or semiconductor workforce development, or even AI workforce development, how do they, if they're interested in that, how do they initiate such a partnership? How do they get started with you all so they can build, training around that workforce development?
Yeah, I think we have a very dedicated team here at Purdue that it's very easy to start a conversation. They can contact me or any of our team members. We sit down, we have conversations, we see, as I mentioned before, what is needed now or in the future. And then we very quickly can respond back and create either a customized program to what the needs are, or suggest some of our current offerings that may already meet many of these needs. We have had partnerships that, from an initial point of contact to a real credential or a degree, it happened within just a matter of few weeks, sometimes even shorter than that. But yeah, I think the ability to connect with us is really easy, and there's a team that has done this many times, and we're very, very confident that we can deliver what our partner may need.
Right, sure. And those were all my questions. Anything else you wanted to highlight, Dimitri?
Well, I want to really thank you for the opportunity to speak about that. And I just want to say that even though Purdue is a world leader in online and on-campus education, we're always open to listen. We're always looking at our partners with a sincere ability to learn and serve. It makes us so proud, for example, when we can have just one more person, one more enlisted, one more officer that we can deliver something of value to them that wasn't possible yesterday. So thanks a lot for this opportunity.
Right, sure, absolutely. Thank you for walking through all that about Purdue's great offerings for the military and the defense industrial base. Thank you all for joining us. And for more information, you can visit their website, www.purdue.edu/online. There's so many great offerings. Thanks and have a good day.